Hey everybody, welcome to Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
So Chip Zdarsky is going to be joining us a little bit. But
Yay!
let's get into some comics before we do that. Before we get into the comics, we got to tell you all the housekeeping that we have to do for this channel show network that we have, because now ComicPop is a channel network. We have a number of different channels under our ComicPop umbrella. ComicPop Prime, that's the main one where Back Issues is housed, and our shorts. If you're not a fan, or if you're not familiar, you should be a fan of our shorts. If you're not a fan, fuck you. I can't do anything about it.
You guys say kick rocks.
Kick rocks, mate. But we got that. We have ComicPop Returns here, Off the Rack, Elseworlds Exchange, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, every 2 years when it comes out. And of course, ComicPop Plays. All of them at their respective names. At ComicPop Returns, at ComicPop Plays, at ComicPop. All those channels are now here on YouTube, and you can check them all out. You can subscribe and watch them all. Watch Tiffany play video games on twitch.tv/ComicPop, and then see the re-uploads on YouTube. But when monetization is enabled, we're going to be streaming on YouTube. See how that works.
I don't know how it's going to work.
I have no idea, but I'm excited to see it, because who knows? Maybe you'll have a whole new untapped audience.
Or we'll go down in flames. Either way, you want to be there for it.
Yeah, you want to see it. You want to be subscribed to make sure you see it. This show is sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you can sponsor today's show by using Super Chats, ask a question or comment here on the show, and it will be read on this show, and it'll be part of the show forever. So yeah, that's the slim skinny of it, I suppose. We are heading into the holidays, which means it's usually a work slowdown for everybody. Certainly, it will be a work increase for me, because I intend to give more slowdowns of work for people this season. Like, I want Ben and Ethan and Tiffany to do less, so we're going to try and cram it all in. We're going to shoot a whole bunch of back issues. And this week is a fun Kang related one. Get people kind of excited for Kang, who's going to be the next big bad of the MCU, or he'll be the big bad of 2 movies and then he'll die, which is more likely.
Kang!
Listen, that's one more movie than Ultron got. So, you know.
Well, for now.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
And he got to be in
the What If?
The What Ifs.
Yeah. They didn't spring for Spader, but they did get the Impressionist to do his half-best Spader impression, which, you know, whatever.
That's something.
Apropos of our shorts that are available on ComicPop, you can check out. Crimson Knight 700 says the Dr. David Doom short was incredible. I love watching the shorts. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, if you haven't already checked that out, I don't remember if it's a deleted scene or not, but it's a moment that we pulled from the Doom War episode, in which the implication was that David Lynch would play Doom. So it'd be like, you know, hello everybody, welcome Latveria. You know, just David Lynch being Dr. Doom. I hate Richards. And it's a balmy 75 degrees.
Doom War!
Yeah. Hey, listen, Benny's going to be doing Doom War on Comic Story, and I better see a whole shitload of Doom War battle cries in his comment section. So he can be confused and annoyed.
Yeah, do it up.
Brian Rowland says, don't forget Planet Hulk is back too. That's right. They're bringing back Planet Hulk. No one cares. It's like really low on the totem pole as far as like what came out and what people were reading. It wasn't the lowest, but it's still not great, you know? And of course, Grievous just says, Sal made it sound like doing this gives me a form of immortality. I think it does, because you are part of it. For as long as the internet exists, you'll be in this now. Yeah. So enjoy, enjoy your immortality. Hopefully it feels good. But
do it up.
Let's talk about some comic books that came out this past week
on our comic book show.
Why not?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it up. I read
Detective Comics. There's a lot of annuals this week. I noticed that. And I feel like that's nice, but it's also like interesting the timing on them. And I get it because it's the end of the year, but also it's a 5th week.
Yes,
it was a 5th week last week.
It was indeed.
Typically historically quite light.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, either that was very smart, or you just didn't give a shit. I can't tell. I think it was smart.
I think so.
I think it was smart because like the annuals tend to be longer, and so I think people might have hopefully had more time to actually pick them up and read them.
Yeah. I think so. Well, I picked up Detective Comics 2022 annual, which I guess we dropped the name. We dropped the numbering for these things. Is now it's just, instead of calling it like, because I remember a day when there used to be annual number 6. And it was like, oh, like there have been 6 annuals. But no, now it's just like, it's the 2022 annual as opposed to the 2021 annual. And so
I kind of like that, actually.
I think it's fine.
Like, I prefer that.
Yeah, I think
it's better.
It keeps it certainly within its
I think it's more
scope.
cohesive.
I think you're right. I do agree. because it's harder to go like, oh, well, like what year did that annual come out? Annual number 4? Was that really the 4th year? And it's like, no. But yeah, so Detective Comics 2022 annual from Ram V and Raphael Albuquerque. This I was excited for this because it keeps up the cover scheme, and it continues it actually is an opportunity for Ram V to kind of like deepen and explain the lore and history of what he's setting up in his Detective Comics run. There's these, there's the big reveal from the last issue of Detective Comics is that Gale is a werewolf, and now we get to see him like doing his werewolfing at like the turn of Gotham's origins, and you get to see like these power players and like mirroring of the Wayne murders and whatnot. At the end of the day, this is what put me in a place where I'm like, all right, well, I think I'm done with this book. And it's not that it's bad. Actually, the Raphael Albuquerque art is fantastic, and the idea of exploring like a 1600s Batman is great. I loved it the first time when it was called Gotham by Gaslight. But no, seriously, it is basically just like another Gotham by Gaslight type of idea. But like,
but it's a different time.
But a different time period, different time frame, different Batman, different lineage and family. So I'm not necessarily ragging on it, but I am saying that, like, you're going to see a couple of familiarities. And the other issue I have is something that I've mentioned a couple times now, is that it was the most recent arc said part 1, and we hadn't resolved anything in the last like several parts. And so this is all part of Ram V's Detective Comics saga, and it's very similar, I think, to Tamaki's saga, where each volume, it wasn't about like selling trade paperbacks and telling little stories. It was about telling this long, cohesive, expansive story that just that builds off of the last part. And it isn't about like telling those chunks. It's about telling one big long story. And sometimes when you're reading those month to month, it's tougher than if you're just reading it all at once, or if you were told about it years after it came out, which doesn't do a hell of a lot of good for sales in comics, but it certainly cements you as a creative to be like, I'm the person who told this like new saga for Batman. I added this new lore to Gotham and to the history of the Arkham Asylum and so forth. And I'm like, that's fine. And all of that's good. And I think that it adds an element of class to the title. That being said, I'm done because there's not enough.
The annual is what pushed you off. Annual.
I mean, the annual was good because it was like, it didn't take up real estate in the main series. This is an annual. It's just like, hey, here's something, you know what I mean? Like, here's an idea. Like, here's something that we touched upon that we don't necessarily have time to dedicate in the main book. Good idea. And it's economical. And I think that if you like everything that's happening in Detective, it's a perfect opportunity, and it'll go great in the trade or whatever omnibus they put out for this thing.
Right.
I think it's great, and I appreciate it. It's just that it was a little boring. This whole run has been a little boring. And it only took me this long to realize that it's a little boring. I'm just a little like, not a lot has happened, and I'm the one who's talking about like slowing things down and really looking at character, but we're not doing that. Like, we're not looking at like at Gordon or Batman or Alfred or the Arkhams or the mayor or the city. We're looking at new characters that Ram has brought in who are part and have always been part of the history of this thing that I care about. And it's because their association of this thing I care about, I'm supposed to care about them, and I just don't. And it has become abundantly clear the book is about that, and it's about like those characters set against Batman, and I'm just not that into it.
Okay.
So like, it's not with one of those like, I'm not rage quitting the book, and I'm not like angry with it. I think it's doing everything right, and it's like, here's the thing, as Picard said, sometimes it's possible to make no mistakes and still lose. That's not a weakness. That's life. That's comics. Sometimes you can do everything right. You could hit all the boxes for Sal's like comics quality checklist, and it could still be boring and uninteresting, and I don't want to read any more of it.
That's how Sal keeps him guessing.
Yeah, that's right. You can't pin me down. But like, Tech Annual 22 did a good job. These are all good creators. It's a solid list of and roster, and they're doing interesting things, or at least they are doing what they consider to be interesting, and they're committing fully, and that's enough for me. You know what I mean?
You're off the
I'm off the book.
Okay.
I appreciate it, and I want to keep patronizing it because I want to I want it to continue. I love the, I love the cover aesthetic, and I like the idea of there being like this new history to the DC universe, or at least to the Batman universe.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just at the end of the day, it's just not exciting. And I can see the strings a little bit, like, hey, here's these new characters, and look, they're manipulating Mr. Freeze. You like Mr. Freeze, but you'll love my werewolf.
I do
it's
like Mr. Freeze.
Don't care about your werewolf. Like there was a day when they'd release like a prestige bound 42-page book that would feature a brand new werewolf, and you'd be like, whoa, werewolf, and it would just be like, oh, there you go,
werewolf.
Yeah.
This is what you're in for, folks. Sorry.
Ray Farr says ComicPop woo. Well, thank you very much.
Yay!
Ray.
Not after what I just said.
No, I was wondering which
ComicPop boo.
Which coloring of the Killing Joke you prefer. I personally like the OG more. A neat contrast with color and dark story. I've been on record, I think, talking about it. If you check out Three Jokers at least, yeah, I don't care for the recoloring. I think that the recoloring is modern and it looks good. If you look at it on superficially, it's as good as any other thing. Brian Rowland's art is certainly, timeless and can work contemporarily. But those colors are friggin' great. Like the original colors, they add something to it. They give it this kind of like otherworldly quality to it. Makes it really like kind of dangerous a little bit. But more importantly, the thing that I have a problem with is that they used the recoloring as an opportunity to redraw. And that's where I draw my lines.
Yeah. No, I tend to typically like original colors just across the board. I mean, like you've heard like
Sandman.
You don't have any volumes of like Sandman I have where it's like I just collect the different iterations of it. And I typically like the original more so.
Yeah.
But I think that's a personal preference. At the end of the day, I think it really just comes down to like what you prefer.
Right.
It's interesting though, because it's like it does that cross the line into like altering your art after it's already been put out there, like
100%
if if an artist went to the if any artist goes to the museum after their art was up and then was like, actually I want to change this.
Yeah.
Like that's but like comics is simultaneously an art and also a business. So it's interesting.
I know. No, Brian Boland, like great work and still working today. And they, you know what it is? And the real I'm such a stickler about it because one of my favorite panels was altered.
Okay.
And it's a moment when Batman finally reaches Joker and he's telling him his plan, which is like, of course, from a man dressed like a bat to a man dressed like a clown. I could rehabilitate you. It's like, obviously that's a joke, or at least Moore thinks that's funny. But Joker has this moment where he like puts his hand on his face and he says, no, it's too late for that. In the original one, it's like Batman cracked through to the real man under the Joker facade. Like he's frowning for like an early, it's a really beautiful panel. And it's just him, like for a minute, he doesn't even look like Joker. He looks like the guy he used to be. And in the new version, he's smiling. Like changed the mouth, and I'm like, no, like so.
But but again, that I think that falls more into the art of it all, altering. And you really shouldn't alter it post.
Yeah, unless there's the only time I'm okay with you altering art in comic books at least is when you fix spelling mistakes.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's fair.
Although there is famously the moment in the night Gwen Stacy died when. Spider-Man swings to what is visibly and obviously the Brooklyn Bridge and identifies it as the George Washington Bridge and says to like cement it in time, it's the George Washington Bridge. It would make sense that the Goblin would choose a bridge named after his favorite president because George Washington's on the dollar bill. And I'm like, you are wrong in every respect. And actually, I think in the night when Stacey died episodic back issues, Ethan and I have a hilarious New Yorker moment where he says it all out loud. And then someone's like, that's the Brooklyn Bridge, you schmuck.
Accurate.
But
accurate to what would happen.
So but there's different printings. You could see like there's other printing where it just says, he just goes, that's the Brooklyn Bridge. And that's all he says. He's like, it makes sense that Norman Osborn would pick the Brooklyn Bridge since his mother's from Brooklyn. They don't try.
Favorite of the boroughs.
No, they don't. They just, it's stupid.
Out of all the boroughs.
This is his favorite. Ray Farr also says, because of Comic Pop, I picked up the first volume of Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil book.
Very nice.
And I just wanted to say thank you to Chip for putting so much care into Matt's stories. He certainly does.
Yeah.
I'm sure he, as Chip Zdarsky, is a huge fan of Comic Pop and ComicPop Returns specifically. He will definitely read that question, and he will appreciate that you said that. Ty, or TY, says, love and failsafe. Great to see Batman so desperate. Not sure even Nightwing will forgive him for this. Gotham getting taken over again is one thing. Seeing your girlfriend turn into Skynet is another. Well done, really cool, exciting stuff. We will touch upon Failsafe and Gotham and all the Batman stuff that Zdarsky's doing in a little while when he arrives. But for now, let's talk about a book that Tiffany
Hang on,
read.
go down a little further.
Okay.
Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, go one more. Because we do got a couple more super chats.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to do those now? Or
okay, we'll knock them out really quick.
Yeah,
just because it's fair. But
got two more.
Ty, great point. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Eric Romo. Sorry, Eric Romo. I'm in med school. Congratulations. And currently on my surgery rotation.
Ooh.
A practice test question I did read. A man presents to the ER with upper body burns after deep frying a frozen turkey. Be careful, Sal. Thank you very much, Eric. Don't worry, we're very careful, especially nowadays. We used to be less careful, a lot more cavalier.
Yeah, you guys really were.
We used to use a coat hanger to just kind of like put the food,
you know.
Now we use an iron hook from a good long distance, and we're very careful about we make sure we measure the temperature of the oil, and we have a fire extinguisher next to us. We don't do it far away from anything that could be flammable. We don't use any water.
Additionally, there's also someone always manning the valve for the propane directly,
just to kill it immediately.
Yeah, we turn it down a bit as the bird goes in, and then if anything starts happening, it can be killed immediately.
And so,
yes, the oil would boil over, and we'd have to avoid that at all costs, but we wouldn't have a fire.
That's true. But yes, thank you for the caution, because it is important.
It's true. It's very true. And it's not something, it's a great thing to do, and it is a lot of fun, but only if you are comfortable and skilled at doing it.
Yes.
It's not worth it.
Bring an expert with you when you start doing it.
If you've never done it before, or if you have hesitations, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
David Nelson with a unbelievably generous super chat. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, y'all. We greatly appreciate all you do. Hope you get some well-deserved R&R. Any holiday-themed issues you'd recommend?
Well,
first of all, I love the implication that we greatly appreciate it. Like, this comes from some organization out there, like the Court of Owls. We're like, we appreciate what you do. Here you go. Here's a little something. Keep it up. We'll see you soon.
Nest egg.
But yeah, no. But David, thank you very much for your generosity and for your question. As far as holiday issues go, there's a really terrific book, and I'll try to Google it so I can remember exactly what it was.
I like the while you're Googling that, I like the X-Men issue with Kitty.
Yes.
At home.
Yeah, the one that's usually in the trade for Days of Future Past.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. That's a great one. It's even though Kitty is of course Jewish,
yes,
that's the idea, is that she's there in the mansion by herself, and there's an alien in there.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Additionally, not an issue, but I highly recommend the X-Men animated episode.
Oh my god,
I like that one.
The Morlock one.
Yeah, I think it's cute.
Yeah,
I think it's cheesy and it's cute, and I like it quite a bit.
Yeah. Christmas with the Superheroes #2 is a great little series or issue.
Is that the one with Superman where it's weirdly sort of dark, but also hopeful?
I think that's the one.
That one for GBU where it's
did.
Superman and he finds the guy on the side of the road,
and he makes he's terminal, and he goes to his parents' house.
Yeah. It's really dark, but
yeah, the DC was really good at telling really dark
not
Christmas
in
stories.
Oh my gosh, why'd you do such a grim dark story? It's more just oh yeah, no, it just shows what Superman does. It's it's just really I like that one quite a bit. That's good.
No, it's true.
Additionally, some of those the DC one that came out this week, I didn't get a chance to look at it, but the DC does those compilation books every year. We were talking about some of them now, but they've been doing them obviously recently. But there are some fun holiday stories. In there, less DC or Marvel themed. I really like Klaus. Yeah, Klaus is great. It's interesting because with that, it's obviously it's Grant Morrison, but also you get to see Dan Mora. Yes, at an Dan Mora, at an earlier stage in his career. It still looks great. But that first volume, I think, or that first book that they created, I think is spectacular. It's so much fun. Yeah. In that Christmas with the Superhero story, it also has there's Dead Man is sad, and so he jumps into people's bodies and experiences Christmas as those people. I think I remember that too. Forces them into it, and then runs into Supergirl, or rather
pre-Crisis Supergirl, who's like wandering the world. There's another one that they do with pre-Crisis Supergirl, which is really cool. Which I was trying to find, but I couldn't. But I did enjoy The Brave and the Bold number 184. In this one, Batman is like weary and tired, and like the Huntress, his alternate reality daughter, shows up and is like, "Hey, show me around for the holidays." It's pretty fun, but it's worth checking out. Our special guest has arrived, and so I'm going to jump into this in just a second. I need some headphones for this. So without any further ado, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Chip Zdarsky. Chip, thanks for being here, man.
You know, allowed to be in the room with a woman.
I know, no, it's true. And I've insisted. I've asked her to come on, but she's like, no, it's easier if there's only two.
The rumors aren't true. I'm allowed to physically be in a space with a woman.
Well, you know, the last time that you were, you know, not to get too personal, but you were wearing almost no clothing.
I don't understand what you're getting at.
You were, I don't know what you mean. It was so hot, I believe, in your house that I remember you warned us that you were like, oh, by the way, I'm not gonna be wearing any clothes. We were like, oh, okay, haha. And then you showed up and you were like stark naked. We're like,
I'm a man of my word.
I don't know what I was expecting. But no, she's totally fine. It's just that she was like, yeah, no, it's quicker and easier if I just bail. Plus, she has a Switch over there where she's going to be playing video games on.
Wow.
So yeah, we know where her priorities are.
Yeah, apparently.
Chip, how the hell are you, man?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, living in a bare room with some pieces of wood. I don't know.
Yeah, you look like you're being kept somewhere, like far away from civilization.
I like the difference in our backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. I have all this noise, and you got like you have a blank canvas. It's great. I can imagine.
Someone once told me, I don't know if this rumor is true or not, that Jonathan Hickman, obviously rich, obviously.
Oh yeah, of course.
That he bought a house nearby to work in, and like painted it all in like that kind of material, like the whiteboard material, so he could just like write all his ideas on all the walls, like he's Reed Richards or something. That's probably
I buy that. That I 100% buy, because everything he writes, he never just writes a paragraph. Like he doesn't tell you like, oh, you know, beginning, middle, and end. Here's your story. No, it's always connected to everything. Plus he's always got to create 20 new characters to go with that story. Yeah, no, it's got a whole system.
Yeah, he's that kind of guy.
I hate him. That appeals to me, and yet it would be sad. You'd see all this blank. You'd be like, "Where are all your ideas?" I'm like, it turns out I only have room for like this much space. I really didn't need it. I just needed one whiteboard.
Kill Batman. That's all I've got on my wall.
Solid idea. Never been done.
Never been done. No.
But speaking of Batman, let's not talk about Batman, because that's what people want you to talk about. Let's talk about public domain. Speaking of Batman, you write Batman. Now, getting back to public domain, you wrote Public Domain, incredible series. The first volume is final order cutoff is today. I'm sure we missed it, but like it's today. So retailers watching, order the hell out of Public Domain.
Yeah, come on.
This was your Substack book, if I remember correctly. This is like the beginning of the deal, right? Like a year ago, you were like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, it was basically like, hey, we want you to make comics here. And I'm like, I don't have time. And they're like, but we're going to pay you. I'm like, okay, I have time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then James Tynion quit Batman because he got a Substack deal, and then they offered me Batman. So it was one of the best times and the worst times of my life. But so I've been publishing it through Substack and then publishing it through Image. And the first volume is being collected, and it's going to be in shops at the end of January. I'm excited. Oh, look at that. You got a graphic and everything.
Of course, I want people to see. Well, you designed the cover, right? Because you have a history of graphic design. It's a beautiful cover. It's you drew the interiors. This is your baby.
Basically. Oh my God, I did everything on it. Colored it. I poorly lettered it.
And, the lettering is actually really good. I think it's solid. It doesn't, sometimes when you have one person do all the work, something suffers, but I don't think there's any suffering in this book outside of the main character.
There's that. I mean, the lettering is, I'm not a letterer, but I also, I just want that level of control, because I've lettered sex criminals for the same reason. And I know there are some classic lettering mistakes in there.
Really?
Not ever pointed out to me, maybe because cowards, they won't do it in their face, but like there's a rule in comic book lettering that the letter I when it's all caps and it's in the middle of a word, it doesn't have the crossbars. You drop the crossbars.
Okay.
That's like a comic lettering rule.
Really? I didn't know that.
And I'd never designed my font with that in mind. So I don't have an I without the crossbar. So every time I type it out with the crossbar, I'm just like, oh, I'm done. I'm going to get canceled over this. I'm going to get a comic book letter canceled.
Is that your font too? Did you develop the font yourself?
Yeah. I did an earlier version back when I started doing comics. And then just when we were starting Sex Criminals, we were trying to figure out, oh, we're going to get a letterer. And I was like, well, I think I can do it. And I designed it. And back then I knew how to use programs to make them. Like I'd update it if I knew how to, but technology has gone past me. So I'm just going to an old file. Yeah, that's my handwriting.
That's great. I love it. No, I was giving my wife a hard time because she actually is a big fan of like typefaces and fonts and graphic design. So I was like, "You're missing some great stuff." She's like, "I'll watch the repeat," which all of you should do as well.
Well, I know why she left now, because she probably noticed the eyes with the crossbars.
She recognized the eyes immediately. She was like, "Oh my God, who did this? Like, who lettered this book?" Because everything else is okay, but the lettering, and I'm like, I hate to tell you this, but I don't see any of the names in this book. But where did you? What made you want to tell this story? Because it's so contemporary. It is through and through a story about a family. At the end of the day, it's all about family. But it is also this kind of like microscope on fandom, the impact of comics on the like the movie industry's impact on comic book creators, legacy. Like there's so much going on, and it's so simplistically just like, oh, look at this schlub who doesn't respect his father, and yet like there's so much more here. I was so thankful to get the ending of this, by the way, because I've been reading this on your Substack for the past year, and then you sent me over the PDF, and I was like, oh, I get to finish it.
Yeah, I kind of knew where we were going, because ultimately I kind of wanted the book from here on out to be kind of like not a workplace zany comedy, but to be about the creation of comics, not just a look at the industry itself. But it first came to me when because I do a podcast with friends called Mangasplaining.
Yes.
In which we discuss manga every week, and they educate me on the art form. And one thing I noticed is just that like all these comic creators in Japan creating manga, there's so many that are just like about specific things. Like here's like, oh, it's a Western meets superheroes. Yeah, it's always like a thing meets a thing or whatever. But there it's like, oh, there's a whole book about rice.
Yes, or like volleyball. Like it's just the whole thing is about one thing. Yeah.
I just read one about like a salary man, just about a businessman just making deals. Like that's all it is. Or one of my favorites was called Wave Listen to Me, just about like a woman who wants to become like a DJ, like for a radio station.
Yeah.
Like it's just not something you really see here. And so I started to think about like, well, what are the things that I'm passionate about that I would love to turn into a comic?
Yeah.
Not just say, what's this kind of big idea I have, but what are the specific things? And that's when I sadly realized I've got no interest. Except for comics. Like, when I read yeah, like I read comics, and a lot of the nonfiction books I read are about comics, like the history of it. And so I'm just like, well, damn it! Like I guess I'm making a book about comics, and like that's so hack. So I wanted to make sure that it was about family. It was about the characters. Like the comic stuff is more about pop culture as a whole than it is just about the comic industry.
No, it's not terribly inside baseball. Like it is not impenetrable. The story isn't like, because I know a lot of people who read comics don't necessarily give a shit about how they're made or like what the whole infrastructure is. And it's not really that. Like this is very appealing to even the most layman interest to comics. Like it's primarily about the family, but you glean a lot about like really more about the history of comic book creators than you do about like how comics are made. We only get to the comics thing at the end, really, like about how to make comics, and we don't even really get into that. Is that how far into this life, this new direction are you planning on going with this story?
I mean, this is it from here on out. Like at this point, like I don't want to give away spoilers, but like I really want to delve into what goes into making a comic, promoting a comic, getting out there, trying to get people to read it, doing your podcasts, your live streams, things like that.
Sure.
Like, I wanted to also just throw in a bunch of characters that were kind of like, based on maybe friends of mine that I could, take the piss out of.
Sure, of course.
And yeah, I wanted to kind of create this weird little comic company where I can populate it with all these new characters. And just kind of see where it takes me. Because one of the other things I really loved in all the manga reading I've done the past couple of years are just kind of the relationship books.
Yeah.
Like the ones where it's just about like, will they or won't they? Does the character hate this character? Like, am I disappointing my father? Which is, I think 90% of male comic writers have that as a subtext of their work. But
sure.
Like I've got 3 volumes like planned. I'm just gonna see if my body can keep up with it once I'm done with 3 volumes.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you've been punishing the hell out of your body by overproducing some really awesome stuff. Like this is a great time for us and probably a punishing year for you because we're getting this amazing independent books called Public Domain, which everybody should pre-order and pick up and buy. It's really it's such a non-commitment to read this book because it takes like the art is deceptively simple and yet like really economical, and you could if you're not if you're not like poring over every page, you can read it in like you can read it in an afternoon. You can read the whole damn thing, and and you want to. Like, it is a page turner because you just get invested in the characters and their struggle, and you want them to succeed, and you want to see like where it goes.
It's nice. It's nice to have a book that has a beginning and a middle and an end. Like it, I love superhero comics, but like I think I've mentioned before in your podcast, like Matt Fraction once told me that it's like constantly writing Act 2.
Yes.
Because you're not starting the thing, you're not ending the thing, but you're always just kind of amping things up and like putting characters through the paces.
Right. And like who's gonna take over Public Domain after this? Like I gotta set them up and give all this like this is amazing. It's just you. Oh sure.
A book about creator rights and I just like hire someone to do it after me.
Yeah, you just farm it out after that.
That's perfect.
Oh my god. And then take over and then triumphantly return after like several years of exploitation.
And everyone's like, I like his old stuff better.
Exactly. And you're like, well, you're going to love what's coming out next. The transition just a little bit before we get into Batman, because I know that this next arc is ending. Daredevil's the thing that I think a lot of people finally got on the Zdarsky train for, if they hadn't already been reading your stuff, because it was such a dark horse, because Daredevil is one of those books that's kind of like, oh yeah, Daredevil comes out and it's like, oh, it's always good. No one ever has like a bad run on Daredevil, but it is so unassuming. And then when it comes on the scene, like the first volume did, people were like, holy shit, I should be reading Daredevil.
Yeah, I was I was glad that people said they wanted to read it instead of I'm dropping this title.
Yeah, no, but we're in a radically new place with the character, and I love how you brought back characters that seemingly had a place and a time, like North, and how it's like, oh, he's a perfect place for this, and if we never see him again, that's shame, but it makes sense. And then he's like, oh no, he's going with us to fight the Hand, and we're like, oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that there was some carryover from the New York side of Daredevil into this kind of new, Ninja, the Hand, the Fists, Elektra stuff.
Yeah.
And so having him and Foggy, Cole North and Foggy Nelson kind of join Daredevil, when really he's just trying to protect them.
Yes.
Felt important to me because they're also like, they're angels on his shoulder,
Right.
They have different outlooks and kind of can keep him from going kind of off the deep end. You don't want to send him to another Shadowland or something.
Well, and every time he goes off with Elektra, he kind of like tends to lose himself. So it's important to have like a couple of people there to be like, hey, you're losing it again. Like she's gonna push you in another direction. That's like, she's gonna encourage the worst parts of you, which is a fun aspect of that dynamic.
Or maybe at this point he'll encourage the worst parts of her. Who's to say?
Well, that's true, because she's in a completely different place now. It's fun to assume that she's like the same person she was, when like Miller was writing her, but it's like she's had a lot of growth and a lot of change, and it's like it's interesting to watch where she's come since then. Yeah. I'm loving this series. If you're not picking up Daredevil already, I think, are they reprinting it finally? Because I know that like the first couple of volumes were completely impossible to get.
Oh God! Yeah, I mean, like it's something that's out of my control. All I can do is just like send the odd email to Marvel being like,
sure,
how do you sell Volume 2 when Volume 1 isn't on the stands? Like
uh-huh.
that's to me, it's simple marketing and publishing.
Yeah.
Like if you have a multi-volume series and you don't have the first couple volumes available, look, it's why I love Image, because at Image, we always get the email to say like, hey, we're running out of Volume 1 or Volume 2, whatever.
Yeah.
This is what it would look like if we went back to press, how much it would cost, and whatever. And they encourage it because it's like, you don't want comic shops to have Volume 4, 5, and 6 of the thing, and they can't get Volume 1 through 3.
Yeah. I know, speaking from experience, like if I'm in a comic shop and I see like volumes 3, 4, 5, I won't pick up any volume, like because I can't start.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And like, some of the reasoning is just the fact that like they put these out in different versions, right?
Yes.
Like there's a hardcover. Eventually there'll be an omnibus, I'm sure.
Of course.
But we have the same problem with the hardcover. Like I think Volume 1 sold out like immediately. So
yeah.
It's just like, well, what are we doing here?
Right. Well, let's put up more.
And
what are we doing?
I mean, ultimately, it's a cash flow thing. Like Marvel can only spend a certain amount of money on printing. They can't go into massive debt reprinting things. But from the creator standpoint and the reader standpoint, it's like, yeah, come on, let's save some money here.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. Marvel Comics is at the end of the day, I know that people tend to forget there's a book publisher.
Yeah.
And
they do a lot of books. Like that's the thing.
They print a lot of books. Yeah,
because
that's true.
Back in the day, you would have like the singles. That was the business, and then every once in a while, something was exceptional,
trade worthy. It would come out,
right?
Yeah.
But now it's like the trades are the new singles. I think.
Yes.
Like they put them out of everything, and there's more to store them. No system to really like have your kind of back, because you pay for that. Like that's the one thing I noticed at Image is like. If there's a financial quarter or whatever, which we don't sell a lot of sex criminals, then like maybe we're getting a bill instead of getting money.
Yeah.
Sex criminals is a bad example. Maybe like a Qatar
it smells pretty well.
That's right. But Qatar is like, sometimes you get the bill. And it's like, oh, okay, all right, we owe you some money because there's storage fees for this stuff, and we're still paying the printing bill. So there's a lot of kind of hidden costs people don't realize for that kind of stuff. But like, Marvel puts out a lot of printed products, so it's really hard to kind of keep and make the decisions as to what to keep in stock.
Yeah, that's fair.
I guess you think all of my stuff should be in print.
Oh, well, naturally. Oh, of course. From Spectacular to Daredevil, it's like, come on. Howard the Duck. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
But I also wanted to speak to it really quickly. Your incredible YouTube channel that everybody needs to subscribe to, because they could learn so much from the Chip class that you selflessly produced and put out there to help get people really get some real inside baseball going on.
First and foremost, I'm an educator.
Right. At the end of the day,
that's
the first thing.
Yeah.
So, and you've chosen to impart some of your like life lessons and acumen to this to the rest of us, which has been invaluable. Three classes, but
I love to help. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Chip class. Look up Chip class.
Yeah.
Everything you need to know to make it in comics.
Right. I love that your editor said she has such a great sport in this videos.
Oh, she was so good. She was so much better than I was too. Like, because I was trying to who will I have as like my student in this, and like oh, Allison, she'd be great.
Yeah.
And like I had a script and everything, and I kept having to redo the lines. Like my memory's really bad, so I'd like give it a take and fumble a thing and do it again. She'd have like monologues where she just nail it first time. What the hell? And apparently she used to do like educational ghost tours around Toronto or something. Like it was like one of her jobs, so she had to memorize these scripts. So yeah, she's the professional, and I was not.
Well, they're fantastic. They're totally. I love when things like this pop up in spaces that are not place I normally look. Like my feeds are choked with comic book stuff, but then my wife watches a lot of like art stuff, and the Chip class came up. And I'm like, oh shit, we got to watch the Chip class because we got to get the algorithm to know like this is part of it. Yeah, art. It's great. How to treat your artists, how to tell a story, which characters to pick. It's an informative class.
Get right in there.
Also, the production value is off the chart. I was like, this is a very well produced video. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean,
I was very jealous. I hate you for it. I was
there
like,
there were a couple of reasons for that. One, the Substack paid me, and so I'm like, what am I going to do? Oh, I know, I'm going to waste my money on making this look as good as possible. Had a hair and makeup person.
Oh my God. I saw the credits and I'm like, are these made up or are these real?
No, real, like sound recorder, sound designer. Like, you know, I shelled out money to do this for some reason. But also like Kagan McLeod, who draws Kaptara.
Yes.
His brother Sean is a video director. He works at an ad agency and does commercials and stuff. So like, I hired him and we snuck into their studio on the weekend and did it all. And yeah, both Kagan and his brother Sean are the brothers in Public Domain too.
Oh, so, no kidding.
Yeah, so they model for me for every issue.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
So Batman, this run, this arc with Failsafe, I understand that this week's episode or issue is the last issue of the arc, of the Failsafe arc. Is that correct, or am I getting my wires crossed?
No, you are correct. It's weird because I always hate divvying things up in terms of arcs because like the story doesn't end. Like,
no, good, yeah.
There's a cliffhanger, and we're going to move on to other ideas, but it continues the story, kind of similar to how I write Daredevil, but. Yeah, Jorge Jimenez, he just kills it on this issue, and he's coming back. Like we have Mike Hawthorne doing the next storyline.
Oh, cool!
And then Jorge's back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just kind of brought my Daredevil boys with me. Yeah, it's wild. I had this issue. I had Ryan North consult on science questions.
Oh, cool!
Because I had a lot of science stuff in this issue, and Ryan's the smartest person I know. So.
Nice. I love that. In the last issue, Batman is adrift in outer space. So I guess yeah, that would make sense to get some kind of science in there. That would be my guy.
Yeah, like there's a certain amount of superhero kind of magic stuff involved, but I want to make it seem almost plausible. Where you're just like, oh, okay, all right, maybe Batman could survive this way.
Yeah. Is there anything coming up that you'd like to tease? Not that anyone needs to be teased, since I think people are pretty much on board for this Batman story. And I know that you've been the last time, one of the last times you were on the show, I remember you were saying like, oh, you know, I really want to focus on you know, my more independent work. I'm really like focused on, you know, looking inward, unless they give me Batman, in which case obviously I'm going to do Batman. So clearly Batman is kind of you know, a special place for you.
Yeah, for sure. I told him at DC, I'm just like, you know, I'm saying no to everything right now. But I told him like, I'm on this until you fire me. Like,
that's awesome. Good to know.
Which, you know, who knows? Could be any day. All they need is like someone more important to come by and be like, I want to write Batman, and they'll be like, all right, see you, Chip.
Everyone in the comments is going to try and discern what accent that was to try and figure out who they mean.
Like, oh yeah, I want Batman. Who is that? Frank Thierry? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good tease. Yeah, I don't like giving anything away. But
okay, just like, you know, then we can do the stock. You know, it's bigger and better. Holy shit, you have no idea. Things will never be the same again.
Well, you know, Mike Hawthorne is amazing. Yeah, super detailed, beautiful, dark work, and the next arc is kind of a Bruce Wayne centered piece.
Cool.
With some familiar faces that are going through some stuff. It's a super fun project. Like I'm happy DC's is kind of letting me do what I want to do. Like I haven't really had any kind of like, hey, you can't do that. Couple legal things, but you know, there's always gonna be a legal thing here and there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
How's
can't put Spider-Man and Batman apparently. I don't know.
Oh, apparently not. Yeah. For now, who knows? Maybe Spawn Batman will open the door. You never know.
We'll see.
I think that thing's gonna sell well, and if it does, maybe it'll wake some people up.
It's gonna sell super well. The problem is always just gonna. I've told you this before. The problem is always like, okay, you split the money down the middle. Like, okay, well, like that's not enough to even pay for the lawyers to make it happen. Spawn and Batman's easy because it's just like one guy who just has to sign a thing. I'm Tom McFarlane and I'm signing this. I'm like, let's just do this.
That's true. Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, you know, Canadian, so yeah. But yeah. Well, I don't want to turn this into an amalgam, like, you know, Marvel DC thing again. I know I like to do that. So, how much fun was it getting designs back from Jimenez about Failsafe, though? When you were like, okay, so I want to see this robot, and then like he delivers this freaking robot.
Not only did he deliver it, it's just like a couple hours later. Like he's just like he's so excited.
Yeah.
All the time. Like it's pretty rare that you get to work with an artist who's like that level, that good, but also is just like consistently producing. Like and just super excited about everything. Like every email is just like, this is awesome, I'm having so much fun, blah, blah, blah. Check this out. I was thinking of this was fail-safe. I'm like, yeah, go for it, man. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's the best.
I wanted to ask really quick, just because it came to me, regarding Daredevil. Mm-hmm. How closely are you, if at all, working with Jason Aaron with his Punisher run? Because I feel like there should be a lot of like overlap and synergy between those two runs, because it's essentially you're watching these two, the avatars of their books going head to head. Like it's an inevitable conclusion, which we saw, I think, in the most recent Punisher issue. Daredevil pops in.
I think he had his old costume, because
he did have his old costume.
Yeah, we had, because they worked so far ahead. We haven't quite figured out our costume yet. This started like maybe a couple of years ago. I was doing like one of these Marvel retreat Zoom things, beginning of COVID, and Jason presented his Punisher story. Yeah, and so I'm like, oh well, like I'm planning to have like a whole hand versus a fist thing going on, so we should figure this out and see if we can kind of make a bigger story out of it. Which is tricky because you don't want to derail either comic. Like you want to be able to read Jason's 12 issues as its own thing. You want to be able to read mine as its own thing, but also be like, oh, I want to check out what's going on over there. Yeah. So yeah, I had a call with Jason after that retreat where we kind of worked out some kind of fun things, and then I just worked with this massive document. I kind of detailed all of my Daredevil plans and broke it out into every issue. And then figured out on the calendar where Punisher lands. Oh, cool. Because I had his outline. So I kind of incorporated both of those together, kind of ran it by Jason and their editor, Tom, because it's two separate offices too working on this. Really? And so, I had notes, he had notes. We kind of went back and forth. We're like, okay, how do we make this as cool as possible without making it like the crossover of the century? And like I've known Jason for a long time, and his Punisher thing is amazing. Isn't it? So I didn't want to mess with that. It's so good. He's and the artists too, like Jesus and Paul. Yeah, it's wild. So I think we figured out a really good way to like have them stand on their own. They kind of meet and they kiss at some point, of course, and then things kind of go off the rails. Awesome. As they should. Yeah. That's the recipe for what we want from comics, baby. Yeah. Well, Chip, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I think we've touched all the hallmarks of what people are going to be like. Why didn't you talk about this? I think we covered. I got nothing going on. You can just keep asking me things. I got all right. Well, if you want to get off, I get it. Yeah, I see. I don't want to talk to me either. No. I'm the bad guy. Yeah. All right. But Chip, thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna play you off. Public Domain. Check out Public Domain. It'll be in shops when? End of January, and also issue 1 is free on my Substack. So you go to my Substack. Zdarsky. Check out. All links will be in the description and comments down below of this video. But make sure to subscribe to Chip's channel. Check out his Substack. Read Public Domain. Buy Public Domain. Make it so he doesn't have to pay bills on storage for Public Domain, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, please, it's killing me. And last issue and the fail-safe arc ends this week. So pretty exciting stuff. Yeah, it's too much. Daredevil number 6 is out this week too, I think. That's right. Daredevil's too. Yeah, too much. Everything's too much all the time. I know. At least I don't have to buy all these. All right. Thanks for being here, man. All right, take care. Take care. Thanks. Bye. And there you have it, everybody. Chip Zdarsky, Public Domain. Check it out. Thanks for being here. I hate you. You did. It's okay. I ate a whole. I was like, you ate all the Funyuns. What kind of Funyuns? I was gonna share them, and then I was like, no. Why? Why would I share those Funyuns? These Funyuns. You're like, I'm having a great conversation. I'm like, I'm having Funyuns. I'm stuffing Funyuns in my mouth.
And I did.
I did.
I'd have the other bag too.
No, don't. It's too late now.
It is too late. I can't get up to get them.
It's true. God, what a fun guy.
He's a fun guy. And not just a mushroom.
Oh my God. Mr. Rangry says, sub team, massive fan of the new Wake Up with ComicPop podcast. They seem so calming to listen to on my morning commute. Also, Midnight Suns is the bomb.
Yay.
Nice.
I guess we're going to be playing that tomorrow. I didn't pre-order it like a doofus, so I didn't get the extra Doctor Strange Defender skin.
Oh.
So I'm a doofus.
I guess you have to pay for it or something, right?
I'm not going to pay for it.
No one's going to pay for it.
It's fine.
But thank you very much. Yeah, if you haven't already subscribed, you should check out the Wake Up with ComicPop show. I have no better name for it because it's not like it's ComicPop. It's not like Ben's on the show. It's just me. Yeah. But it's still, it's fun.
You are ComicPop.
I own ComicPop.
You are ComicPop.
Ollie Davis, love you guys. Love what you do. Haven't been able to catch the live shows because of work and the holidays. Sal, what inspired you to do the Gotham traffic bit in the morning show? I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Ollie. That was just talking to the guys, and
that was Ethan.
That was Ethan. He was like, "Are you gonna start doing like fake traffic reports and stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh, that'd be hilarious." So I sat down and I wrote one, and I was like, "That's really funny," and I recorded it, and that went well. And then I had no other ideas, and I didn't want to keep doing the traffic. I was like, "That's stupid." Because I kind of threw out all my ideas like in that one moment, and I didn't want to do more of them, so I didn't want it to get lame, But that was why I did that. I just thought it would be funny, and Ethan suggested it, and it was like it's a really good idea, and it's one I wanted to have like segments to the show, but like because it's a weekly show and it's something just me by myself recording audio, I'm like I don't necessarily have time to like dedicate all the effort into it, so it's just what you're getting is just unfiltered me.
You're just getting what I get usually.
That's true.
No, actually, what?
I'm sorry, everybody.
No.
Archer FX. I get it about Detective Comics too. Everything's not for everybody, and we just don't like the same stuff equally, which is cool. I agree. It is cool, man. MMM says, regarding the DC annual, I dislike whenever writers write in some kind of destiny plot point, like 16th century Batman, Spider-Man's Web of Destiny, prehistoric Avengers, Chosen One plus diminish the character's own merits, in my opinion. I think that's fair for street level characters or characters who are supposed to be like, everymen or, regular old schlubs who accidentally get their powers, every time they do that, I'm like, oh man, like especially Spider-Man. But
let's be honest, there is a part of me that absolutely loves that trope, but I think that's mainly related to magical girls. So I think that's why that's in my brain.
Exactly.
Like, yes,
and it works really well for that.
Oh yeah.
Proximal Comics says, hey, ComicPop and Mr. Z, I'm losing my passion in comics outside of Detective and Batman. What can I do? How does one get into writing comics like Detective and Batman? I can't find materials, and it feels like it's really hard to start. When it comes to writing, the materials you get, there aren't a lot, but there are books on the subject. Peter David, who is in desperate need of assistance because of some medical issues, which you should check out his GoFundMe for assistance there, wrote a book called Writing Comics by Peter David or something like that. And it's a really fun book that I have at least one copy or two copies of in our library. You can check it out on Amazon, but he gives a really good comprehensive breakdown of like what it's like to write comics and how to do like a lot of the mechanics. And he gives you sample scripts. But again, the book is like over 20 years old, so it is like a little dated. But I think there are some elements from it that you can absolutely extrapolate and apply to today. The best way to do it is just to write what you know and do it. Like I was working on a pitch for a book, and I haven't written a comic script in almost a decade, and I didn't want to get bogged down in the details, so I wrote it as a movie script. And then later I'll like break it down when the story is like tempered and hashed out, then I will break it down into pages and panels and stuff like that, and then it'll be a lot more comprehensive. But it's reading as much as you can. Like any writing, reading is the most essential element to it. Reading and getting exposure to different elements of it, knowing how to work the craft, but like getting your ideas out is the second most important thing, I think.
And if you're losing your passion in comics, that was the other part of the question.
Yes, well, if you're losing your passion, I mean, like I think that the most important thing to do is take a break. That's what I did. Certainly when I was like disillusioned and angry with comics, like I took a break. I stopped.
I would say that works for some people, but not for everybody. And the reason I say that is because some folk get like that feeling of like, I'm never going to be able to get back into it because it becomes overwhelming sometimes when you think about what you've missed. Read.
Yeah.
So to that, I'd say don't worry about it because they'll all be collected at one point or another in a trade. You can always pick that up to catch back up. Yeah. And most books, nowadays make it pretty easy to kind of understand, especially Marvel stuff. You'll notice at the beginning, there tends to be like a little bit of a summary at the beginning of it.
Yes.
But I would say if you lost your passion, I get the idea of taking a break. I'd say take a break from some of your monthlies for right now.
Absolutely.
Your standard ones, and instead go and check out independent works. And I know that sounds really weird, especially if you're not an independent reader. But I feel like some writers use independent works as a way to reinvigorate themselves as well. And so like I'd say take advantage of that. Maybe follow some of your favorite writers, see what independent works they've worked on, grab something there. A lot of times they're either self-contained, they're not a super big investment often. To jump into it. Now Brian K. Vaughan, it's a little different. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna jump into Saga, you got a lot to catch up on.
But that's okay. But they're making it available everywhere.
Maybe you're looking for that. But I would just see what they're doing, and or if you're like, I don't want to do that, I don't want to jump into an independent book right now. I would, like you mentioned, I think Detective and Batman. Then if there's another character you're like, I haven't really liked this anymore, go back and read something older.
Yes.
Just to remind yourself, like, oh yeah, I really like a lot of this stuff. Like just because something everyone wants to stay current, and I completely understand that. And not saying don't support current comics at all. But don't like let the joy fizzle just because of that drive to keep current. Go back, read something else.
Totally. Novus says, what's been the funnest part of writing Matt and Elektra so far? This is a question for Chip Zdarsky.
So you can just pretend to be
your
Chip.
Daredevil run has been my favorite, and I've just had to collect it in floppies and hardcovers. I apologize for taking so long to get to your question, but I hopefully touched upon a couple of those elements. I tried to kind of work in some of these questions ahead of time.
We'll just answer for him. What's the funnest part
of writing Matt and Elektra? Oh man, the sex scenes, they're just the hottest. I mean, you don't get to see them because Marvel keeps cutting them out, but trust me, they're there, and they're awesome. They're actually a lot more extreme. You should see my sketchbook. They are just full of them. That's been my most fun part of writing those two characters. Kasanga Cherry Clark, hey population, can't stay today. Wanted to drop by to show my love and say hi to Mr. Chip. Spider-Man life story is one of my personal favorite stories. If I'm lucky, they'll let me draw you for you one day. Nice.
Thanks
for popping in, man, and hopefully we'll see you later. Caden Lane, what's it like working with Jorge Jimenez? I hopefully worked out that. I tried to get that in there.
Nice.
Do you have to give him notes or do you let him loose? I'm loving Failsafe, by the way. Thanks for the good story. Well, cutting loose. Yeah. As I understand it, we've talked about this before, and he's talked about it at length. He gives him a little outline, like he explains like who the character is, and as Chip is an artist himself, I don't know. I assume that he does not provide like sketches or anything like that. I think he just lets Jorge do what he wants because Jorge is a veteran at this point. And Shriyan Raj Sharma says, hey Sal, how about a video about any ideas for the Matt Reeves Batman sequel? By the way, that Riddler comic by Paul Dano was amazing. I still haven't read it. I'll have to check it out. I like that idea. That'd be fun. We haven't done like those kind of little videos in a while, but that'd be a great Elseworlds.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy to do that. Thank you for the idea. Trash Cam, haven't caught you guys live in a while. Take my money. We'll do Trash Cam. Thanks for being here. So yeah, speaking of books, Nightwing 2022 annual came out.
Okay.
What?
I was like, how many books did you read?
Like 3.
Oh, okay.
Because it was a light week. But Nightwing from Tom Taylor and company. This was basically 2 stories. It explains who like Heartbreaker. I don't remember their name. They're so unremarkable.
Every time that this book comes out, you have that entire dialogue, and I love it.
Thank you. I don't know who Heartless. They're Heartless. We find out who Heartless is, where they come from, what their story is, how their powers work, their whole history, and also there's a story from Bitewing's perspective explaining like what Haley sees, and it's actually kind of sad because like it doesn't shy away from the idea of like a pet owner who works a lot.
Oh no, I can't read this.
So like it's really sad, and I'm like, oh, it's actually really irresponsible for Nightwing to have a dog. So that really backfired, but it's really well written.
No.
But yeah, Heartless, I'm glad they dedicated an entire annual to Heartless's origin, because then it's not like wasting space.
I couldn't tell if you were being sarcastic.
No, it's fine. Like it's a good idea to do that because it doesn't waste time.
I don't know.
Because it doesn't really matter. Like, who cares? Like, I really don't care about this character, but I'm not like annoyed by them. They're not overstaying their welcome. In fact, like they're quite underutilized outside of this, and so it's kind of cool to like see that. And I appreciate what their powers are. I think they're silly, but I appreciate that at least they're committing to the bit.
Okay. And
so I'm like, all right, cool. So like is it a recommend? I don't know. It's $6, but it's fine. Like I think that you won't care in like a week. So you might want to like check it out now or forever hold your peace or your cash. Tiffany, what'd you read? I know you read a lot.
I didn't read a lot.
Compared to me, you did.
Really quick, I just want to say I read The Arrival, number 2. I said I was going to read that. I started reading Briar. I didn't get through it, I'll be honest with you. Not because it was bad, just I actually got distracted by something else. Something we can't talk about.
Oh, yes, that's right. I made you read
I was reading that, and then you said that, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. Oh.
So The Arrival number 2 came out
like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, I thought it came out this week.
It wasn't on the list.
Okay, well, it was under new in Comixology, and I recommended it last week.
Maybe it's a Comixology original or something.
No,
that's not there.
Well, it is, but it is.
It's not in this list.
Wait, go down. Oh no, I guess not. Anyway, but it came out. So sorry if you didn't catch it. Oh no, The Approach. Sorry, not The Arrival. We were talking about that the other day.
The movie?
That movie came up.
Yes.
I always want to call Annihilation.
Yeah.
The Arrival.
So
it's The Approach.
Yep.
Number 2 came out, and this was that book that I was like, when it first started, I was like, this is perfect. I'm so on for this.
It's
spooky. It's spooky that takes place in a like cold, snowy, isolated area.
Yes, I remember this now.
People trapped in an airport. This plane shows up. Something's wrong with the
plane. That's a cool idea.
With the plane, and there's also like a monster involved. Like, and it's written by Jeremy Hahn and Jason A. Hurley with art by Jesus Hervas.
Okay.
And Leah Caballero.
Oh, Caballero.
Caballero. Thank you very much. And I guess issue 2 was just as great.
Yay!
As issue 1.
Good.
I really enjoyed this. It was fast. It ran really, really fast.
The good ones always do.
I'm invested. Like I was invested before, and like this, like not only successfully reminded me of what happened in the first issue, because I feel like I haven't read it in a minute. Like I was like, did this come out in October or November? I couldn't.
I feel like it was October.
I guess it was October. Because this technically came out in November because it was the end of the month, right? It was a 5th week release. But it felt like a really long time in between. And so like I was struggling a little bit when I first cracked this to be like, what happened in the last issue?
Yeah.
And like it really successfully summarized it without making me feel like they needed to talk down to me. It made like the characters summarizing the information to another character, it made total sense.
Yes.
Because I'm like, oh, that character wouldn't know that. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much. I am that character right now because I don't remember. I'm essentially them.
Yeah.
But I find it to be a lot of fun. And like I said, like as it gets colder for me, like I know, like I am all about the holidays. I'll tell you that right now. But I'm also all about like cold, isolated horror. And so this book is just scratching an itch for me. And I actually wish it was just out in trade.
Yeah.
Like, I just wish I could get it right now.
That's fair.
I just want the rest of it.
Well, I'm sure it'll come very soon.
But it's a great read. And it's a Boom Studios book as well. Like Boom has, I'll be honest with you.
They're doing great stuff with horror.
Replaced my when I normally go to Image for, I'm now getting from Boom. Like
Hey Image.
I can say that, and I absolutely mean that. Like 9 times out of 10, when I'm looking to scratch the independent itch right now, I go to Boom over Image.
Yeah, we only find them where they're dead. Something's killing the children.
Yeah. Now listen, if Saga was coming out, I'd be like, well, I mean,
except for Saga.
Yeah, except for that. But right now,
it's not exactly horror though.
No, I meant like just in general.
That's true.
In
That's
general,
just your
I have been
picks are
reading
there.
more Boom than I have been Image as of late. But and I do have Briar.
That's right.
And I read the first 2 pages of it before I got pulled into having to read something else, and I just realized now I never got back to it. So,
oh man.
But I did like those first 2 pages that I read. It's a gorgeous looking book.
Yeah.
Oh, that book is so beautiful. If you are looking for something that is again like cracked mirror, dark, like fairy tale, not horror necessarily, but like this darker fairy tale telling. It's like Sleeping Beauty. It's written by Chris Cantwell with art by German Garcia, and I mean it is just such a stunning looking book. I really like the art in this. The story's fun too.
Oh gee whiz, another Boom book. I mean, whoever is like I don't know. I should, by the way, like the CEO or whatever, whoever's in charge of like talent acquisition at Boom.
They're doing
double duty.
They're doing great. Well, they're also like you'll see a lot of like a mixture of levels of writers.
Yes.
But clearly, I don't know if it's the deal they're getting. I don't know what it is, but they're bringing these stories to Boom over Image right now.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I don't know what the revenue split is or what the like impetus is, but it's a good decision.
It's good on them. I also read Strange Academy this week. Strange Academy #2, written by Scotty Young with art by Humberto Ramos.
I can't believe that this team has stayed together and executed this book month after month the entire time. No shakeups, no changes.
No.
The only change is that the book changed from Strange Academy to Strange Academy Finals,
and they got to redo a #1.
Right. Which is a Marvel modus operandi.
It is, but much like with Shang-Chi, they
did the same thing.
They did the Shang-Chi book.
Yep, and then the 10 Rings
and
book,
then the 10
which is
Rings.
just the same book.
It is the same book, but we are it is completely different than the first.
Right,
one.
There is a technical tonal shift.
Yes, and that I would say is what happened with this as well. Like we did, here's the book, and now we're like, here's the shift.
Okay.
Typically, it would be here's the next arc.
Yes.
But we're not.
But here's a new series instead.
Yeah, which is so funny because when you think about it, like there are, like manga out there that go for how many ridiculous
years,
number of volumes. And as much as we talk about how maybe the West could learn something from the East, I do wonder though if they're not looking at it from the perspective of the like grabbing that here's the story.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when you take it off the shelf, you're not worried about whether or not you have to like keep getting more. Like maybe they're thinking less about the like grabbing that like manga reader who wants to like get into a crazy long series and wants to instead just grab the book and like be like, okay, cool, I read this. I don't know. I don't have to know if there's any more.
That's true.
I feel like you do with this though.
You do.
It's a continuation.
Because it is a continuation. It's literally a continuation.
But I really like where they've taken this. Again, it's they've grown up a little bit. The story has grown up a bit. There was something about this issue though that kind of made it come back to its like roots in a way. There was something warm about it in terms of the interactions between the students and the faculty in this issue in particular that made me think of like the first iteration of this before everything kind of hit the fan for these characters. And I really appreciated that because it reminded me that like, yes, everything can change, but sometimes like, like you can't go back home or you can never like go home. Like, all right, fine. But like, that doesn't mean you can't find that same heart.
Right. Oh, that's nice.
And so I kind of felt like that's where we're at. We're obviously dealing with an overarching issue of like Emily and Dormammu. Yeah. Or Doyle Dormammu.
Right.
And, but this does talk about that, but also is dealing with a character that was created, I think was created for this. Gaslight.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds like
a lamp. Gas lamp. The Gaslight's way worse.
I was gonna say no. If the name's Gaslight, they definitely were created recently.
No, Gas Lamp, and yeah, like it was an adventure issue that ends in potential horror, like a horrible tragedy. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how things go. But I really enjoy watching these kids grow up and dealing with not only magical ramifications for things, but also just like being kids and teenagers. I really like Scotty Young's voice for a lot of the faculty. They're fun. It's just it is a whimsical book, but doesn't stray so far into like not mattering.
Right. Yeah. It's not like it's a Marvel YA attempt. It is just a fun book.
It definitely is.
Well, especially given the printing of the book.
But I feel as though it can appeals to everybody. Like any age, well, up to, obviously not
from 9 to 90.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the youngest age is, but it could appeal to a younger audience. It could appeal to an adult audience.
Yeah.
If you like stuff about magic, if you have someone who maybe is interested in getting into comics, doesn't know where to start, and likes Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I would give them this book. Like I would give them the first volume of this and be like, you don't necessarily have to know, this book will help you along the way. And maybe we could look up stuff together if there's something you really want to know more about. But most of these are characters created for the book. So
yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
I guess we could talk about it really quick. I should also point out there was another story in the Nightwing annual that I forgot about, which was that Dick trains John because John's like, I'm sloppy and I need help. So he immediately goes to Dick Grayson, and it's like, and it's really well done. It's really well executed.
He's like, first of all, what you're going to need to do is at least 300 squats a day.
Right.
Trust me.
Well, he does. He says,
wink.
Right. He says you have to do something like 10,000 times, something like that, in order to be an expert at it. So then John does it 10,000 times, like in the span of a few seconds. Like that's how it wraps up. But it's like, it's really cool.
And Nightwing's like, no.
Like, fuck.
It's not.
Yeah. But it was really well done, and it was that was a really cool story, and it was like this is what this is what a lived in DC universe should look like. Ray Farr asks, favorite Darkseid voice actor? Got to be Weird Al, because Weird Al played him in the Titans movie, or the Titans show, the cartoon, the goofy stupid one.
Okay.
No, it's Michael Ironsides.
Yeah,
there's nothing better than Michael Ironside being Darkseid.
No, it's so true.
Taylor the Nerd, I'm trying to write a comic, and the idea of Sal possibly reading it one day is simultaneously awesome and scary because I respect his opinion. Thank you very much, Taylor. I would give you a fair shot.
If it makes you feel any better, I also don't like when Sal has to read my stuff.
Yeah.
Like if I'm writing anything, like even if it's like a message to someone, I'm like, oh no, actually I didn't mean that. Well, actually what I meant was this. Like you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's me.
Thank
so
you.
I get you.
The Fodder Box Kid. Hope all is good. I've been working on my writing a lot more in the last Wake Up with Comic Pop. I was in a rut, and that inspired me to get back into it. That's great. That's good. I'm really glad. That's what the show's there for, is to, be a voice that you have to don't have to listen to very deeply while you're heading to work. And I'm glad I could provide that. Ray Farr, people say this all the time, but Comic Pop rocks. You guys let so many people know about amazing works of art that the big two never market. Peace and love.
When are we going to get that sponsorship?
Which one?
With Pop Rocks.
Pop Rocks? I'll take that in a heartbeat.
Pop Rocks.
I love them. Yeah, I like Pop Rocks. I try that. Taylor Guerin. Tiffany, I just want to say I'm really enjoying watching your Arkham playthroughs on ComicPop Plays.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's right. We're in Arkham City, which is arguably the best Arkham game ever.
I don't know what I was like on when we were playing that game, but I make some very inappropriate jokes throughout that whole thing. I don't know what was going on. I've really cleaned up since then.
Good. What's the next book you did?
I want to talk about Exterminators really quickly.
Of course.
This was a book that I was like, the first issue, I was like,
yeah. Yeah, and the second issue, you're like, it's still good.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, third issue, all right.
Oh, it did ratchet it up a little bit.
It ratcheted it up because I think you're going to appreciate where this ends up going.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. We've been dealing with Dazzler, Boom Boom, and Jubilee.
Yes.
And also Wolverine, even though she's never credited in the beginning and like those character images. She's not one of them at the beginning, but she's
on the cover every time.
She's in the issues.
Oh, that's weird.
Like, so I don't know.
Okay.
But they're these three girls and Wolverine, these three women and Wolverine as well, because we're not allowed to count Wolverine as part of the group.
Oh, I see.
So I can't say these four women.
Weird.
I mean, we can. I'm just like, that's the way the credits page.
That's weird.
It, right?
Credits page.
Like,
okay.
Like that. It's really just about the three of them, and I'm like, but Laura's here.
Right.
What do you want? They've been telling their story to the Krakoan Quiet Council. Krakoan Quiet Council. Why? And it's told in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way where they put in all these extra details, and like Charles is essentially like, please stop. just tell the story.
Why would he need to be told the story? Thanks.
Because everybody has to hear the story. It has to be told from their perspective, right?
Okay.
So that's what they're doing. They've been, Dazzler had a hard breakup. Turns out that boyfriend was actually a vampire. The vampires took all three of them and put them into this like arena where they had to do all these crazy things, and then ended up needing to fight Wolverine. Wolverine's like, obviously I'm not going to fight you guys. They ended up in a mirror maze thing where when they looked into the mirrors, like evil doppelganger versions of them showed up, so they had to fight like blindfolded. So we're doing all that, right?
Okay.
Like that's what's been going on. But then we introduce into the Quiet Council. They're like, the girls know that something was going on, and they're like, how would you know that you weren't even there?
Yeah.
You weren't there. How can the story continue on with that? And they're like, that's when all these other characters show up, and they're like, hello, because they helped us.
Okay.
And you see these characters who came from Otherworld, right?
Right.
So like these characters are also being held there. So we get this huge fight where they come up with a plan in which they're going to break out, and they do in fact break out after talking about Dazzler's butt for a while.
Okay.
And how quickly she must have been working out.
Well,
and I'm like, are we trying to make Dazzler the Nightwing of the Marvel universe?
Right. It's not going to work. You can't just assert that you have the best ass. Also, Spider-Man has the best ass.
She didn't. Jubilee and Boom Boom agree that she's got a great butt.
Okay.
And she's like, I've been doing weight training. They're like,
that'll do it.
We get like the tease of a strip tease from Boom Boom, but not really. It's all like, smoke and mirrors so that they can escape.
Right.
They like focus all of their powers, escape this glass maze, which they know will then reform. So it's funny because they're like, okay, we got out of here, but now there's like just shards of glass flying dangerously back to try to reform itself.
That's pretty scary.
So they're attempting to get out of there. Dazzler's like chasing down after her ex-boyfriend. The other three are going to attempt to free the other prisoners that Wolverine knows are there.
Yeah.
Dazzler ends up finding one of the beings from Otherworld who helped them by like removing the enchantment, who's like, okay, they can help us, so we'll get out that way.
Yeah.
And that's when it's revealed that it's not actually been vampires this whole time that's been holding them. It's the Collector.
Oh, okay.
And what he wanted was he was looking for a mutant with a healing factor. That's how Laura got there. And then one with an explosive power.
But that's all three of them.
He's like, I only need one of them, so you can get rid of the other two.
Oh.
Whichever one you want.
Okay.
So I was like, this is all making a little more sense.
That's fun.
The fact that now we're dealing with the Collector and it's not just vampires.
Yeah, that's way better.
Yeah. Right? Like, okay.
Cool.
Sure.
Yay. All right. Good for them.
Who knows what other, like, I don't know if there's gonna be little cameos or whatever, because now we're in, like, we're where the Collector is. Like, we're in space.
Right.
So.
Great. That sounds fun. Yeah. Okay.
I didn't say who it was by or anything.
No.
I didn't do any of those things. I didn't do the thing I was supposed to do. I think it's written by Kelly Thompson.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, why is scrolling through a comic
the worst? I'll just pull
the hardest thing. Leah Williams with art by Carlos Gomez.
Oh, okay. Yay.
So yeah, Exterminators is going better than I thought it would.
Good. And I think there's only like one issue left or two.
Yeah, I think it's two. I think this is
a 5-issue miniseries.
It's around issue 3. So
thanks, Modern Comics, for normalizing the 5-issue mini.
Hey, it does help though with the potential to decompress on purpose.
That's true. Yeah. No, you can really tell like the rest of the story without any bullshit. The infamous Mike Manhattan says, have you read any comics on the Massive Verse? That's the Radiant Black universe for those of us who are not as big fans. I've read some of it, but not enough of it to even involve myself in a verse. I've read a few issues of Radiant Black, and that's the end of it.
Okay.
Infamous Jedi says, are there any X books where Orcus or the Granny Gardeners are actively going after Krakoa? Or is it all focused internally? No, I don't think that there are any more books right now where Orcus is trying to attack Krakoa directly. Certainly the Granny Gardeners haven't come up in a while.
No, the last time I think I feel like it was during the stupid plant invasion.
Yes, Empire.
But then I'm not sure if they weren't in like an X-Force book.
I feel like they showed up in
I'm trying to remember the timeline of everything, but I don't know if they're doing their own thing.
Yeah, they're busy.
For sure. I thought they came up at another point in time, but now I think I'm getting my timeline screwed up. And Orcus is always a threat, especially now with Moira, because Moira is now
a robot
and tied to Orcus.
Yes.
So like anytime she's involved with anything, you could technically say that Orcus is part of it. But like they're building their case in terms of like whatchamacallit, like PR.
Yeah.
Additionally, Abigail Brand is also working with them. So
right.
But like she's working.
But she's probably
she's got her own agenda as well. So it's like she's working with them, but not really. So.
So you also read Strange.
I did read Strange. Strange number 8, written by Jed McKay with art by. I'm trying to remember his first name.
Okay.
But it was Ferreira.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Doctor Strange is back. And
okay, finally.
Kind of. He's the Harvestman.
Yeah, we know.
But he's in this book.
Oh, okay.
Like they're like, no, he's just gonna be here now.
He's just
no, sorry, this isn't we've got 2 artists.
Oh.
I'm like, I see what we're doing here. Marcelo Ferreira handles the like stuff that's going on
in the present,
and then Stefano Landini handles the art in the past, because we do a flashback. And I gotta tell you, Landini's art, at times I was like, okay, this is a little weird, but then does like some really spectacular images.
Yeah, that's great.
Like a lot of it is like really fun looking, but then you do like some up close shots, and I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
I'm on the fence, but I overall I dug it. There's a lot of like imagination and action in this, but essentially, Clea brings him back to the Sanctum where he gets to like say hello to Wong, and it's like a joyous, one panel reunion for those two. But like Clea and he can't touch each other because like she's the Sorcerer Supreme of like life, and he's the Sorcerer Supreme of death. And if they were to touch, like
the world would end or some nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like, hey, drama.
Oh. Okay.
just a lot of like sexual tension there.
She's the Sorcerer Supreme of life.
That's what because her job of being the Sorcerer Supreme is that like the idea
protect...
of being of life.
Oh, okay.
And so
that sounds...
he is the Harvestman. It's
sounds like they made that up.
But additionally, there's like another person there, and I completely forgot about this character. I was like, yep, good, whatever, we're done with that. And then I was like, who is this person? Why are they hugging Doctor Strange? And eventually Strange is like, who is this person? And I'm like, oh, thank you. And so we get the reminder of Pandora Peters, who showed up in the Wong issue that came out. Remember, like we did that one issue about Wong where he gets a bunch of his memories back because he had a hole in his memories. He's like, oh my gosh, now I remember all these things.
Right.
And how Pandora was director of Wand. And we get like the backstory of that and how she knew Strange and what happened to Wand, essentially. Okay. So we kind of get that breakdown of like a moment for them that leads to the creation of the Blasphemy Cartel. That like they equate, you know how a prayer wheel has like the core of like the prayer in it, and so like when you spin the prayer wheel, it is like praying essentially. It's like saying the prayer out loud by doing that. That's what prayer wheels are. Okay. Right? So her like Wand had like a little like task force that was like setting up a scenario in which it was like, what if, you know, someone did something like that but with like cryptocurrency. Like what would happen and how would we deal with it? So they're trying to come up with a what if scenario and then how would they solve it? Okay. And it accidentally ended up actually making it happen. Right. That task force ended up becoming the Blasphemy Cartel. Oh. And we also get the like from that the origins of what the heck's his name? I can't remember what his name is. It's like it's nobody. It's not Mr. Nobody.
Well, no, Mr. Nobody, I think, is a DC character.
Director None. I'm like, no, he's a name like that, and I don't want to say the wrong one. But how Director None, because like Strange is like, I can't remember what he looks like, and she's like, no, you can't, because he essentially like researched a spell, and he and his Blasphemy Cartel utilized the spell in order to like make people forget that Wand ever existed. Okay. And then is
that how they retcon the Wand ever existed? Because like it didn't before this book.
And then he sacrificed his entire identity in order to, you know,
make it happen.
Yeah, to do this.
Okay.
And I was like, isn't that kind of like Peter?
Yeah, in No Way Home.
Making a deal with the devil.
Right. Oh yeah, I guess it is.
To make everybody, you know,
forget who he was. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a one more day, but for some character I don't care about.
Right. So we're going to be dealing with him. Yeah. But you know, they got an ace in the hole because obviously the Blasphemy Cartel had all these files on Doctor Strange, like it just acres and acres of files on like him and like, you know, potential plans on like how we could do things under the radar from Stephen Strange. Right. But like, and then also all these contingency plans, like what if like Doctor Strange wasn't Doctor Strange, like what, and like, you know, what if Wanda had become like Sorcerer Supreme? What if Voodoo had become Sorcerer Supreme? Like what if, except for Clea, they never thought about Clea. Right. So she's the ace in the hole. Great. And I'm like, sure, whatever. I mean, like absolutely.
For this thing you made up.
I don't understand how you wouldn't have a plan for that. She's one of his known associates.
Right. But, you know, and she's like literally magically inclined. Like, okay, but whatever. Fine.
I mean, I guess they figured it's the dark dimension. Maybe she wouldn't come back from there.
Yeah, maybe.
But hey, most of this issue is just a Doctor Strange story.
Hey.
So I was like, hooray.
And how do you like that?
That was fun.
All right.
I liked McKay's voice for
Strange.
For Strange.
That's great.
So I'd like more of that.
All
more,
right.
Please.
Yeah, more Doctor Strange.
And not that I don't like Clea, because I do like
fine.
Clea, and I do like her as Strange, but right now, because of her drive, and I don't think that she's being written as a one note. I think she's just so focused on what it is she wants and what she'd like to get out of her time as Sorcerer Supreme of Earth. Yeah. That there's not a lot to her right now, but that's not a failing of the writer. That's just actually where this character is.
Yes. So. Fair. All right. YC Goosey says, what's your favorite Krakoa arc within all the X books?
An arc? Because that's hard, because
it's the first arc that Duggan did for X-Men.
Okay.
That was pretty fun.
Because I'm like, oh, an event. No, it's not the same thing. That one was spectacular. Yeah. Let's be honest. Because is that the one that dealt with the
The casino.
Yeah, I loved that arc. That arc was fire. I liked the Hellions. I'd say the Hellions run because that was its whole arc. No, I mean the first I'd say he was probably around the second arc because the first arc has to sort of deals with Madeline Pryor.
Yes.
And that was a great arc, but I feel like it hit its stride once we got more into just dealing with Sinister in general and like did some of the Otherworld and Amenth stuff. Like, even though it was very tied to Ten of Swords, like there was a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff in there.
Taylor the Nerd says, because of Tiffany, I found 2 books I love, which are Batman Gothic and Arkham Asylum Living in Hell. Random thought, but Ben should do a buddy cop movie with Andy from Comic Story. I'd watch it.
I'd watch it too.
Are you kidding me? Riv Wilson, thank you very much, by the way.
Oh, yes. No, I appreciate it.
Tossing a coin to your poppers. Thank you very much.
Yay. Thank you.
Nice Witcher reference. Jackson Boyd, can't stay for the live. Wanted to say how much I've been liking the Wake Up with ComPop. Really enjoy your perspective on different topics, not just comics. Thank you very much.
I do.
That's the idea. I'm trying to, mix it up a little bit.
That's the idea.
That's the idea. I also read Superman Kal-El Returns special, which is, a collection of a bunch of stories about Superman being back, all taking place before Justice League 75 when he was killed by Pariah. And it's great. It's like a fun little, here's what's going on. The first one is a Mark Waid, Batman, Superman World's Finest issue, but also it's in the present kind of, where Batman and Superman team up and Batman's just like, hey, you're back finally. Let's go. And it's a really cute, it's really fun. It's weird that Mark Waid had been persona non grata at DC because of one person for years. And it was this kind of not kept secret at all for, for their creatives. Mark Waid is barred from Superman and it's he wrote Birthright. He should be freaking on Superman. And then when he came back, it was just no pomp and circumstance, no excitement, no enthusiasm, no promotion. It was just Bendis is coming, but Mark Waid's just here.
I think they just,
they burned it out.
I think it's 2 things. I think 1, they learned their lesson from that one. And 2, I think they didn't feel like he warranted that because he's an older creator.
Oh, yeah. That's true. I think you're right. But it was well written. There's a Jimmy Olsen story I couldn't care less about. And then there was a fun one with John and Superman doing their thing. And that was really sweet. And it's just a good story. It's just a really fun little here's a book with about Superman. Tried just through and through Superman. Let's do this. And it was just well executed and it looks really good. And I enjoyed it thoroughly. I was like, all right, I'm going to check this out. And I'm glad I did. So if you are interested in checking it out, I think you should, because it familiarizes yourself with a lot of the players, and it sets up a lot of I think what the tone of Superman's going to be. So yeah, I like that. But before we go, let's talk about some comic books that are coming out this week that we think that you should check out. Batman 130 from Zdarsky, obviously, plus Daredevil number 6 from Zdarsky. I got to check those out. They're awesome.
I think this is the issue I saw online, at least for Batman, where Chip said, don't look at spoilers. Just read the book.
That's right. Don't look at spoilers. Just read the book. So when you see this book,
because someone's going to try to spoil it for you, don't let them.
Yeah,
don't let them win.
It comes out tomorrow. Buy it on either Comixology or go to your comic book store and pick it up. But if you do, don't look at social media until you read it, because I think it's important.
Don't let someone win and then ruin this for you.
Exactly.
Right.
Daredevil 6 is coming out. I'm excited for that. I love Daredevil, as you can probably tell. I also am excited for Punisher number 8, which is also coming out. That's really exciting. Spider-Man 3 is coming out. That's from Slott, and I'll read it, but I think I'm done with this book. So 3 will be I'm definitely done with this book. And I won't rag on it and just okay, I'm just not going to read it anymore. Speaking of that, Dark Web number 1 finally debuts. This is from Andy Kubert drawing art.
Oh, Andy Kubert.
Oh, Andy Kubert. Adam Kubert, actually. My bad.
Oh, never mind.
It's Adam Kubert. Sorry.
We can't do a joke.
No, but I do love Adam Kubert. It's great art. So I'm going to read it. Dark Web number 1. Excited to see a Kubert on Spider-Man again. That'll be dope. Fantastic Four number 2. I read the first one and was oh, that was fine. I'll check that out. Predator number 5 is coming out, which I'm very hyped for. That's going to be pretty cool. I really enjoy that series. I I think Do a Powerbomb is ending, so you should check out Do a Powerbomb number 7. Gotham City Year 1 number 3 is coming out. This is an amazing series that is totally worth checking out. If you haven't already, go read the first 2 issues of Gotham City Year 1. You will be glad you did. There is another book. I'm going to leave that for Tiffany to promote.
Yeah, if you said that, I would just push you out of your chair.
Yeah, Quick Stops number 2 is coming out. This is, of course, from Kevin Smith with Andy Parks and Phil Hester. This is the book I've been waiting for, and I read the first one and was like, oh, okay. It's doing the thing it's supposed to do.
Okay.
It's okay, I'll read it. So I'll keep reading it. And if anybody wants to let me write for it, I'm in. Tiffany, what are you checking out?
I gotta tell you,
there's one more book.
I'm
also,
sorry.
we'll talk about that later.
I looked at this list and I had a moment of like, oh my God.
Yeah.
There's just too much this week. We went from like a drought to a flood.
Naturally.
Immortal X-Men number 9 is coming out this
Yay.
week. I am 100% picking this up. This is Kieran Gillen's book. Yes. I saw a preview image of this he posted.
Oh, cool.
It's an amazing interaction. It's Sinister in his lab, and he has a hairless cat there, which I love that because it's like an homage to Lion Cat, I think, but he's Psy Cat.
Right.
And he asks Psy Cat to do something, and he just like is cleaning himself and goes, no. He hisses and says no. And so it's just like, oh, I can't even crack the cat genome. Like, I love that.
That's
like,
awesome.
He's like, it doesn't matter how like great he gets at like genetics, he can never
figure out the cat.
Yeah, I'm like, accurate.
True.
X-Force number 35. I'm definitely gonna pick this up. Again, and we're dealing with
Beast.
Yeah, Beast and Maverick and Sever. Sever Blackmore, I think his name is.
You were good on Sever.
Oh, yeah, I think that's what his name is. I'm just waiting for that Beast shoe to drop.
Yeah.
When's it dropping?
Come on.
But if you want to pick up more X-Men books, well, don't worry. If you were like, I don't care about those 2, well, New Mutants is coming out. That's number 32. By the way, here are some books that are getting up into higher numbers, right?
Yes.
Like Immortal X-Men's only on 9, but that started later. But X-Force is on 35. New Mutants is on 32. X-Men Red is on number 9. So if you're digging that book, it looks like we're getting back into dealing with Brand again.
Good.
So that'll be there. But also Marauders number 9 is coming out this week. Marauders reset its numbering at one point.
But it is the same series.
But it's a slightly different team that's on the Marauders group right now.
Yeah.
If you've been reading Ghost Rider number 9 is coming out this week. Did you mention this too?
I did.
Okay, good. I'm not up current with this book, but I want to point it out just because some people say that they
really enjoy it.
Well, also because like people like remember that books are coming out because we talk about them. So Poison Ivy number 7 is coming out. So if you're into that, go grab that as well. There was something I thought I saw before the thing I wanted to do, but it's not there. Wait, where?
It's the bottom row right here.
Well, yeah, I know that. I thought there's something in between those 2.
Oh, okay.
But there was not.
No, I don't think so.
I wanted to see what this was. Really.
Oh, Thanos Death Notes.
I just wanted to see who wrote it. Oh,
J. Michael Straczynski, creator of Babylon 5.
But it's not just him.
No.
It's Kyle Starks and Chris Cantwell. So if you want more Thanos,
I will check that out. That sounds fun.
Right? Look at all these people working on this.
Yeah.
book.
Ron Lim's going to own art. What?
Yeah.
Sick.
That's what it said. And I'm sure there's many other things, but there's one thing in particular that I know nobody really cares about, but I'm 100% picking this book up.
I forgot to give this you the preview copy for
That's okay. I want a physical on this
Well, we'll get a physical, yeah.
Gargoyles number 1 is coming out. That's right. Disney's Gargoyles number 1 by Dynamite.
Yep. Sure.
I don't understand why Marvel's not publishing this.
Yep. What the hell did you do?
It's their thing. But it's written by Greg Weisman, of course, with art by George
Cambadeus. I know this person's art. I've seen it before. So,
dude, I'm so into this.
Yeah,
I think this is ignoring the 3rd season.
It is. It throws away the Goliath Chronicles.
So if you hated that 3rd season, you're good. If you watch the first 2 seasons, then this series is for you.
You gonna refamiliarize yourself with the last like couple episodes that you like?
I very much. I think I remember what happens, but I guess I could.
I guess
I could.
Right.
But yeah, like I'm here for this, and I don't think we're ever gonna get more animated anything.
No, it's probably over.
Which makes me so sad because I would take more animated. I would take live action retelling. Like if they wanted to do a movie, I would be here for it.
Just as long as Keith David plays
and that's
Goliath.
What it is. I want more Keith David because he's incredible.
He's like
character.
He's like 25%, 40%, 45% why I'm excited for a Community movie. It's like bring Babbitt back.
Yeah.
He's so great.
He is, but I loved him in that role, in that character. He brought that character to life. He sold that show to me, and I think a whole bunch of other people as well. So if you like that at all, just know that that's coming out. It's going to be published by Dynamite. So I don't know if you're going to be able to find that in your comic book stores.
It should be.
But you could always call ahead.
Yes, you should maybe pre-order the book.
Well, I don't know. You can't pre-order it now.
No, it's over now.
But you might be able to call ahead and be like, hey, save this for me. This is mine.
Yeah. Good point. Because they probably didn't order a lot of copies.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess just a reminder that Batman Spawn #1 is coming soon. 2 more weeks. And Batman Spawn will be out. Next week on Off the Rack, we'll be able to say, you can check out Spawn Batman.
Yeah.
And that's going to be ridiculous that we can talk about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're very lucky to have you. Subscribe, watch, follow, and we'll see you guys next time with an all-new episode of Off the Rack. Thank you so much to Chip Zdarsky for being here. Consummate professional, incredible creator. We're lucky to have him both in comics and on this show. Check out Public Domain. The first volume is going on sale, or at least it's the final order cutoff is today. Pre-order it at your comic book stores. The first issue is available for free on his Substack. And subscribe to his YouTube channel and check out more Zdarsky goodness at Zdarsco. We'll see you guys next time here at ComicPop. I'm Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody, and thanks a lot for watching.
Bye, Gargoyles.
Oh, yeah, bye. Oh, and thank you to our Super Chatters for sponsoring today's show.
Seriously.
Thank you all so much, especially to our very,
you.
very generous Super Chatters. You are awesome. You keep the show alive, and you keep those other sponsors out. So thank you all. And we'll see you next time. See you next time. See you next time. Nia sex time. That was yeah. That's bye.